And welcome back to another episode of the Sloppy Syndicate Show. We aim to pleasure your ear holes here. We want to make your ear holes moist and give you an eargasm that you will never forget. Today we have Traverse and the Abyss based out of Scranton, PA. This band debuted in 2016, blending groove, thrash, and metalcore, coming up with a new metal. So I'm going to give you a sneak peek of one of their videos and hold tight and we'll bring the rock star in.
This knows no mercy. It knows no light. It knows only fear and despair.
That is a banger. So that is Traverse the Abyss out of Scranton, PA. And without further ado, let's bring the rock star himself in.
What's up? Cheers, everybody. How are you doing?
Cheers. Pleasure to have you on the show. We are streaming live on Twitch and YouTube. So, folks, if you do have any questions, do not hesitate to throw them in the chat. And for you listening in the future on the podcast, it is much appreciated. If I could talk today, that would be great. But what's up, E? Thanks for joining us. Pleasure to have you in here. So if you have any questions, E, drop them in. So this is Traverse the Abyss, like I said. Started in 2016 and blending some different rock styles together, creating their own unique sound. So Eric, tell us a little bit about Traverse the Abyss, what you play, what you sing, what do you do with the band, and a little bit about the band.
Alrighty. Well, I guess it's a ranting time on my end. What's going on? Thank you all for listening. I'm Eric from the band Traverse the Abyss. We are what was the contemporary metal band was one of the editors around here deemed us as, which because we kind of phase off of so like we mentioned several different influences just because growing up that's what we had we're not one of the bands that's kind of like eat the same. You know what I mean? Not that it's anything against that. It's just I think it reflects our personalities because we're all different and kind of like fun, like especially shown in our more recent music videos. The clip you did play, that was the opposite. That's one of the more serious videos. It's but nonetheless, we like to blend together just basically riffs and grooves. That's the general makeup of Traverse the Abyss songs. Then you splash in outside influences, whether it's punk or rap or hard rock, but whatever really suits the song. We kicked off in 2016, remnants from our old band. The starting lineup of Traverse the Abyss was basically my first band revamps, like a phoenix from ashes. We came back, and that's when we spent some time. Me and Mike, our guitarist, we were playing in a band called Threat Point, and they were all a little older than us. Well, even the vocalist he's 20 years older than I am, but so it was cool being around more like seasoned musicians, while us as young kids were just kind of winging it and doing our thing, and getting to see how they operated and everything, and balanced the band as a business, and just have a general attitude about how going about things, which was kind of eye-opening. It's like, why aren't we doing that? We could do that. So eventually we both phased out of that band, and we ended up starting Traverse, and that's when the ride went out. We didn't debut until the end of 2016, but we wrote most of the songs off our debut album, The Gamble Life. Most of those were written, I want to say, like April, May of that year. But our mentality is we didn't want to become public unless they had a place where they could buy or download or listen to the stuff, because there's so many like Facebook bands, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, oh, music coming soon, and they have like a little audio of them playing in the garage or something. It's like, no, we don't want to. We want to have a nicer approach and music and merch, because if you like it, then you have somewhere to buy the stuff. You know what I mean? And so we took that summer, then we debuted and just kind of jumped down the rabbit hole. Since then, we put out a self-titled EP that was in 2018. Quite a couple singles, Second Place Superstar, Ghost, and all the ones leading up to our new EP, Smiling and the Suffering, out June 17th. We play mostly throughout the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic of the States, getting on a lot of shows with national acts too. So that's cool. Like we played sold out concerts with, we just did one with Suicide Silence. We just played a show the week prior with Born of Osiris and Veil Maya. We did a couple with Attila. We did a sold out show with Whitechapel and Chelsea Grin. We did one with Motionless in White. So getting onto all the like direct support slots on those shows is like,
and those are huge bands. So
yeah, that's not tiny things. My mentality on that is everyone in that audience, you know, is into some variation of that type of music. So, you know, you're not pitching to like we do a mixture of everything. We do the national shows and then we'll run independent runs ourselves doing like the bar gigs and stuff. And you see on the other end of that, like you get that real intimate stuff with the bar gigs, but then you're also playing some shows where the homeboy in the back just wants to hear Toby Keith and none of that screaming mumble jumble, that bullshit. Right. I bet he has laryngitis by the end of that. You know what I mean? So
that's not your kind of bar, sir.
Yeah, nah.
You know,
so unless they're drinking, then it's fun. Maybe we're funny,
right?
But
yeah. So you know, reading the discography, you guys have had some pretty huge success with the previous releases, the singles, the EPs, and the debut album that you had spoke about, and touring with Motionless in White, opening some major acts, is a huge accomplishment for one. So congratulations on that. And let's talk about this 617, your new EP releases, and that is Smiling and the Suffering. So
this is basically it's like a chef's salad. It's just a little bit of everything. It was all the singles that we've done in like pandemic into 2021, and it's been a while since we put anything on disc format. The last one was in 2018. So our latest drummer, Dave, came in 2019. We haven't had anything physically pressed with him. It was just, by the time we got him up to speed, we wrote, because that's the other fun part about us is we've been playing Swap a Guy since we started. And it's just the nature of the beast. Like everybody says they want to do the band until you're doing the band. And it's like, oh, well, I want to do this. What do you mean we got to have practice? Or we're driving 3 hours for this show. And it's like, I thought you said you want to do this. Like, we're pretty transparent with everybody on it. But Nonetheless, we end up playing Swap a Guy quite a lot. So a lot of, like, we keep the ball rolling, but a lot of times we want to be fair. We don't want to just be like, well, here's the material. Like, if the new guy comes in, we want you to have your part, because then you feel a part of it. I played the role where I went into other bands playing like bass positions and stuff like that. By the way, if you can't tell, I'm the vocalist for the band. I'm Mr. Talk Your Ear Off.
Hey, you're making my job easy, so keep going.
Bro, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm sipping on a little bit of Malibu right now. I had my medicine for you medicinal people out there. So I'm just like, yep. I'm going to go on and I'm going to end up talking this. That's how it goes. I end up going on. I talk your guys' ear off.
Hey, works for me. So
yeah,
and that's why you're here. We want to know about you. We want to know about Traverse the Abyss. And so when that album drops, or the EP drops on 6/17, you're having a pretty large show. So tell us where that show's at. Who's going to be playing with you?
All right. So this is time to plug 570. This is time that we plug our hometown people. So we're doing the show at the V Spot. V Spot is like the crown jewel of Scranton, because there's actually getting to be a decent amount of like bars to play at. We're still lacking like all age venues. We have a couple, but at the same time, the rental is so high. It's like,
is it worth it?
do you want to get passionate or do you want to get paid?
Right.
Because there's a really tough balance. Because now, especially with inflation, now you would have to charge more per tickets and stuff. It's just, I'm more for like, do the bar thing. You drop your cover, you're in. You want to leave, cool. You know what I mean? So we're gonna be doing that show at the V Spot, which is like the crown jewel, best food for bar food in the area, drinks, staff, sound and lights. They have Vinny has a whole nice stage cut out. He spent the money. He has great board system. The lights, smoke, everything is pristine. So for all the people who aren't in Scranton, I'm streaming it on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Eric_Abyss. So if you are under 21 or you are not in our area and you would like to watch, you are able to. But it's kicking off at 9 o'clock. We have our friends Escape Artist opening the show. They are a melodic deathcore band. So breakdown, it's going to get intense right from the bat. And then our boys Cruel Bomb, which they're keeping thrash metal alive. Like Testament. I'm going to say Slayer just because if Brandon listens to this, he's going to go, oh, Eric, I fucking hate you. Because everyone comes up to him all the time. They're like, which they do. He does have some Slayer type riffs. I'm going to tease him about it. But everyone always comes up and they don't really into thrash. So the first bit, they're like immediately go, bro, you guys sound like Slayer. And he's like, yeah, well, I like Testament and Overkill.
This is just this is just rubbing it, putting it in.
Finish him.
There you go.
Yeah, they're gonna kick off and it's that. But they have some of the tastiest riffs. I'll give Brandon's a good buddy of mine. Like that's the fun thing. It's just like homie fest. Like I love all these people in every band performing. And then before we go on is Toothless, and Toothless is like chaotic hardcore. Every Time I Die, Dillinger, Norma Jean, like it gets very sporadic. But their bass player Eric, he actually tracked all the songs for our EP, and him and his wife do a video company as well for Navro Studios. Who, if you go on our YouTube channel, they have done the most recent videos for actually almost everyone that's on here. Let's see, Faucet Mouth, Bing. Only Human, which you played earlier, Bing, Navro Studios, and Frankenshuffle, our Halloween video, was all by them too. So it's cool.
Yeah, and Faucet Mouth is one of my favorite. I don't know why it's so catchy to me. Along with Ghost and then Failure. Those are probably, all pretty much bangers, but those are my top
I can
three.
Tell you right now, you just made my drummer's fucking night. I'm plain and simple. You just made my drummer's night by saying Ghost.
Okay, awesome.
I'm gonna do the impression, and you're gonna probably think he sounds like Steve-O because that's what he does. I think he sounds like Steve-O because you get I'm telling you now, Ghost is a song everyone's sleeping on, bro. That's such a banger, and nobody gets it the credit.
That's
very nice.
That's a good impression.
Yep. Yeah, we got the house party going on, so yeah,
nice. No worries.
Yeah, Memorial Day weekend. We got our neighbor. All right, so the house that we have, it's an apartment, but our neighbor's the landlord's son, and we're real close with him. So we have like the back decked out. He made a slide that goes from the deck all the way down to the level floor, and then they just set up a mini bounce house. So we got like nice. all the kids are the typical Scranton party. The adults are having a couple drinks, and we're just letting the kids run themselves out to fall asleep nice and early.
Right. Don't break your arm, but yeah, my dummy self would take like a plastic tray and just slide down the slide so I could go faster. But
we were saying put like Dickie Roberts, put the cooking oil down there, go flying.
Man, I love a good old Memorial Day party. So, yes. And let's remember what Memorial Day is all about, folks, and appreciate what we do have here. So that's my Memorial Day speech. You are welcome. And so Traverse, the Abyss had some pretty huge success with the Battle for the Big Stage in May. You made it to the Elite 8, and you missed the Final 4 by how many votes? 5 votes, 6 votes. See, math didn't really work on me. You had your fingers up and I still couldn't even count. So
that's not good.
But yeah, those brackets are so
tight.
For an artist, I feel bad for the artist because for me, just watching it, it stresses me out. So I can only imagine an artist, watching like, the numbers go up and down, up and down, up and down, and then you're like 5, and you're like 6, you're like 5.
I like when it blinks and it's like up there, and you're like, oh, I can't lie, I was a little shaky because I met Bobby and Josh when they went to the show in Mechanicsburg with Nail Bite and Fate Destroyed and Living
Okay.
Dead Girl, and I was passing out. I usually, there they are. I have like fucking shit ton of these, but I have the band business cards because these are so cost efficient. I'm good friends with the guy from the print shop. I've been going to him since 2016, since the band started. So I just get these stacks of the business cards, and on it, it's the band's name, what kind of music we are, where we're from, the website, where else you could listen to our stuff, and then I just leave them. Like we go to like gas stations, and I'll start just leaving them at the counters or at the bar. I'll just leave them all over the place. And I was doing my plugs. If I get in conversation with people, I'll give them like a sticker or something like that. And I didn't even honestly, I didn't know who Bobby was. Like I knew the promoter said that the owner and like the people from Blackcraft were going to be there and like explaining like DW and like how they promote like the biggest shows and stuff like that. And I was at band practice. It was the Wednesday before, and I was just like, yo, I saw Nick's status, and I was like, I think I gotta go to this. And they're like, I would, but I got work. And I'm like, me too. But I think I'm gonna ask my boss if I could head out, because I work at a mom and pop t-shirt shop.
Okay.
So, which is super clutch for being in a band and
Right.
starting my own like clothing line and shit like that. So I was like, yo, I think I'm gonna see if I could head out early, and I'll just make up the hours the next day. And so I asked Brandon from Cruel Bomb if he wasn't able. He was literally going to get his new puppy that day. Otherwise, I would have brought him down with me, because he's another gunner. He's another horse. And I was like, yo, I think I'm gonna do this. So I ended up going to work, and I stream as well. So I'm like, I pretty much work. I do family stuff, and then when kids go to bed, then I do my stuff. So then I'm streaming. I'm working on solo music. Like I'm in a good place mentally, and I'm trying to manifest that as much as I could and like harness and go forward. And like it's a lot of really, really cool shit has been like happening, starting like right before that. Like right before that, we played with Attila, and we made decent friends with like the band Crowd Magnetar and the one photographer, Knox Justice on Instagram, NOX Justice. Check out, he was on, we met him opening for Attila in October, and he was doing pictures for Jinx, and then he got put on for Attila to do photography, and then we played with them again, and then he was just playing with Jinx again when we did Born of Osiris. So it was like, met some cool people. We met Bobby and Josh, because I was like, fuck it, I went down, I drove, it was like 2 hours from Scranton to Mechanicsburg. And the best part is, like, I'm friends with Brutality, and they kicked off the show, and I'm like, bro, I'm finally get to see you guys play. I'm making the trek down. I'm gonna come hang out with you guys. And I drove to the Micropub, because the fun part with JV Love Drafts is there's the brewery, and then there's the Micropub. So I drove to the Micropub, and I'm like, this is not as bumping as I thought it was gonna be. And I walk upstairs, and I thought I heard band playing, and I'm like,
they're supposed to be here. Where are they at?
I'm throwing on some business cards, and I go to the bartender. I'm like, is there a show here tonight? And the guy's like, oh shit, are they advertising that there's one? And I was like, oh, there's no, because I read like several of the friends, like this one mutual, he was just talking about Fate Destroyed right before, and I added Francesca on Facebook, and then sure enough, I see that they're playing that event, and I was like, oh, all right. So I was just like, I'm pretty sure I saw her status, and Nick's status said tomorrow, and I'm like, yeah, there's like a pretty big event going on here. And he's like, you're probably thinking the brewery. And I was like, the what? And he's like, yeah, the Love Drafts Brewery. And I was like, oh, where's that? And he's like, oh, it's only like 10 minutes down there. And I was rounding the street for parking. I went into this place. I was trying to pay at the meter. It's fighting with me. I'm just like, I get inside, and I was like, where the fuck's everybody at? So then I run back. Thankfully, the meter didn't even take my money. It was all fucked up. So I just got in my car and I drove over. I got there. They were just done. Like the second band just started. I got
you
I felt
just missed it.
I felt my masculinity get robbed because was it Bryce from Brutality? He's like 17 and he's like 6 something. I'm like 5'5". So I just stand next to him. I'm like, oh, what's up, dude? I'm like, holy fuck. This kid's tall as shit. This thing's like a tree. But yeah, I ended up chatting, and like I said, I knew who was down there, and I know what Josh looks like because we're basically from the same area, and he's just like Strange and Unusual and this Steamy Hollows on this spot. Right. So like all really cool stuff. So if you're in the northeastern Pennsylvania area, I would definitely recommend checking them out. But it's funny, I saw someone with blonde hair and tattoos, and I was like standing by like where they were streaming. I was like, this guy looks important. So I walked over and I had my CD and I was like, yeah, I know you probably aren't going to give a fuck and you probably won't listen to it at all. But
I remember that. I
got past my CD to you, and it turns out who it is. And I'm like that. I was texting the guys afterwards and I was like, what are that was a good picking. And then at the end of the night, they called me over to do the interview on there. And I was like, yeah, that's the shit. I'm like, I'm just some random dude. My band isn't performing tonight or anything, you know. I'm like, that's the best part of it. It's like that's how I know I must have stuck out because for all they know, I could have sucked. Not saying like people probably are agreed. They're like, no, your band's trash. Like legit, like we could be terrible, but at least that's what I'm saying. Like shoot your shot. That's to anybody and listening to any regards to anything in your life. If you're thinking it up here, just aim the ball and shoot. Like don't focus, just gun it. Jump down the rabbit hole because like
yeah, that was pretty epic. And he was like, and not making fun of it, but he's like, yeah, this guy just brought his CD up and said, you probably think it sucks, but here you go anyway. And he was like, so you got it worked.
That's we could have been the worst band. Like I could have recorded that whole audio off of my fucking cell phone. And funny enough, not saying like you could get pretty decent recordings on your cell phones now too, but I mean we could just be really bad, but like you stuck out. So it was like then the next show that we were playing was the one with Born of Osiris and Veil of Maya, and we only got put on. It was like a 2-3 week notice, and the guy was like, "Oh, could you bump the tickets?" And we're like, "Well, yeah, that's that. We know how it goes down. Like those bands need guarantees. Because bands always. This is another rant of my bands always knock the whole ticket selling stuff, and I'm like, bro, like that's cutting your teeth. I bring people to my local bar doesn't guarantee you a time slot that costs $1,000. You know what I mean? Like you gotta make sure people are gonna come out to see you. And you know, I mean, if it sounds like a bad investment, your audience probably isn't at that level. And I'm not trying to be like nasty. Right. Or like, no, or it's not working. Like it's not the right day. Like, oh, they want us doing 100 tickets for this so and so band that I don't even know who they are on a Wednesday night. It's like, oh, do that, or I'll do 50 tickets with like Signs of the Swarm, and it's like, okay, I know most of my friends like that band. Not even if they listen to my band. I know my friends or mutuals on Facebook like that band. You know what I mean? And that goes back to what I said earlier. Like you're playing to X amount of people in the room that are into that style of music. Like I joke around. We play so many deathcore shows and we're not even really that much of a deathcore band. We're like a more metal chorus, like that mid 2000s. Like I don't know, diet deathcore. That's what I tease this as. I want to do a Dr. Pepper parody because like almost all our T-shirts are some kind of parodies. Like I have the Office one because Scranton and but like I was saying, like Dr. Pepper, but Traverse the Abyss diet deathcore because like we have heavy parts, but we're not just nonstop blast beats, and I don't get like burly nonstop. But
yeah, it's a good mix of a variety of some metal there, hardcore. So,
but at the Veil Maya show, the guy comes over to us and he goes, "You guys are the locals," and was like, "Yeah, dude." And he's like, "Thank you guys," and we're like, "For what?" And he's like, "You guys sold how many tickets for the show? And he's like, good job, awesome job, like good stuff. And we're like, cool, dude. Thank you much. That's what's up. And he's like, oh, I'm EJ, by the way. And I was just like, that EJ Shannon, who like manages almost at least a quarter of the bands I listen to. He, manager for like Veil Maya and Born of Osiris and all that. So I was just like, I was like nudging my guitarist. So I was like, how I was saying, like, we keep having these cool like moments happen. I was like, this is one of those, like, that's, you don't get like to meet like people like Bobby and EJ every single day as like an unsigned band from nowhere, Pennsylvania, and like have them say like, oh, you're cool stuff, like keep doing what you're doing. Like another one that's really, really down to earth and cool is Chris Motionless. We did a Battle of the Bands, and he was one of the judges up here. And like,
oh, nice.
Okay. It was funny because it was a rock and roll competition, and we come in with like breakdowns, and I'm doing the pig squeals and stuff, and he's just like, "Who's this band?" And like, we ended up playing their hometown show with them a couple months later, and like he came right over us like, "Yo, how you guys doing? Like, you guys still doing well?" And like, so like we represent ourselves real well, and our crowd. It was cool because that night, of all nights for it to happen, because we played this bar that doesn't really have like heavy shows or like loud bands, and the circuit blew. So our whole rhythm section and like all of our guitars and everything were out. So all you had was just the drum going. And it was one of the parts of the song in Dead Weight where it cuts in its drum and bass. And my mic was out, and I was just like, yo, I'm not even going to use a mic. And I went to start yelling the part, and the crowd just starts yelling the part for me. And I'm like, get out of here. Get out of here. Like,
yeah, some of those songs, I'm assuming the drummer uses a double pedal, because some of the, he goes at it, and then you got the riffs. It just comes together so well. And I'm a big, I like the beat, the double pedals, and if I can hear the drums and some heavy riffs, that's what I like in it. So, but yeah, that was a pretty epic show. They actually, Bobby flew out from Cali, and then Balls lives pretty close to that area, so it was cool to see him get out and do a live show. They're doing another one June 4th, I think, in Louisville, Kentucky, with Nail Bite, who else? Scarlett O'Hara, Bad Omens, and 2 or 3 other bands. So I'm like, man, I really want to go. It's for donation only, but it's $5, per ticket roughly for the donation. And I'm like thinking in my head, because I'm in Orlando, so I'm like, yeah, I'll just do a turn and burn. I'll go up and I'll come back. And I'm like, well, if I drive, it's 12 hours. I didn't realize it was 12 hours. I'm like, now I'm like stuck in a rock in a hardship. I'm like, do I go? Do I not go? Like, I really want to go because I've had Scarlett O'Hara on the show, love their music, and so there's some great bands playing for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a solid lineup. We're not too far from Louisville, but I'm so tired. Like, I get to go to shows, and it's slim just because like between doing my own shows and then dad life. I'm gonna be honest, dad life is other people need my attention. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like finding a nice balance.
I get it.
So
you got to have that balance and got to keep everything in line. So,
which, like I said, I only sleep like a couple hours, like 3-4 hours a night usually, just because I work my day job at the print shop. Then I come home and then I do whatever. If we have band practice that night, then it's family nights, and then when they go to bed, then it's stream night because I'm a video game addict. I can't lie. Like a whole rebrand to my channel, but yeah, I'm definitely a gamer at heart.
Yeah, I suck at. I love Call of Duty. I suck at it. I just run around and get killed. That's pretty much all I do on that game. So, and then I get, after an hour, I'm like, fuck this, I'm done. I quit playing. But yeah, so I'm super big into the NES. So I'll sit out there and play NES for hours, and like Skate or Die and Skate or Die 2. And I look back and I'm like, how did I play this as a kid? Because it's pissing me off as an adult.
Always. I Crash Bandicoot. When the remasters came out. That's why I have him. He's like tattooed on my. I'm fucking popping up. He's is on my leg there. That was like one of my first obsessive games that I remember, even first video game I remember playing as a kid. And I love them. And then the remasters came out. I'm playing. I'm like, I don't remember this being this fucking hard at parts.
Right.
I like I love either platformer stuff that has that's a nice cartoony game with a. I like playing little kid games. And then
I was hooked on Paperboy.
Then anything with like good story, like so many of the games that are for PlayStation, like The Last of Us and Horizon Zero Dawn and Uncharted, like anything like that, because then it's like the best of both worlds. Because if I put a movie on, I'm gonna fucking pass right out.
Yeah, like I'm the same way.
I'm tapped out in like 5 minutes, so wifey doesn't bother. She's like,
yeah, we don't go to movies, we don't go to anything because I'm like you. I'm just I need
to be involved. I need to be active. But like I was saying, like I'm always going. So I'm always trying to keep myself doing. So as soon as I have a moment where I'm stopped, it's like it all hits and I'm like,
I gotta do something.
I'm a scumbag because on the band bus, dude, I get warm. I sleep like a bit. They're all like, oh my God, the bus is so uncomfortable. I'm like, dude, my coffin is the best. I fucking sleep like a baby in that fucking thing. Because
what's up, Russ? Thanks for joining us. Yes, it pissed me off as a kid too, but not as much as it does now as an adult. When you look back and
you're like, how did I do this so easily?
And Bandicoot rocks. So
the fun part with Traverse is we had I was gonna say I heard beeping in my head. It's the fucking messenger shits. The fun part of having like so many different social apps, something bings and you're like, where is this one coming from? Is this Discord? Is this Facebook? Is this Instagram or Twitter? Is somebody texting me? Do people still do that now? There's so many cool, like I go, hey Google, text mom, how are you? And it'll do the whole thing. But no, everyone now it's like Facebook. So it's like you try to get the phone to do that. It's like that function's not available yet.
Right. And it's funny how, you were talking earlier, in 2016, when Game of Life came out, and how there wasn't all this digital era per se, and now 2022, it's like you push a button and boom, there's your record. There's your record now. So it's just crazy to see how advanced technology has gotten.
I would say even 2016, we're getting into we're in the digital age. I want to say like 2012 to 2013. That's when stuff really started to. That's like the start of that kind of deal, like excessively, like because I say like look at the 5-year pattern, like look at how bands are promoting, what platforms they're using, what ones have stood time, like Facebook's there, but it's at the same time like I know so many people that's just like that's friends and family. That's friends and family's Facebook. You need to be on Instagram, you need to be on TikTok, and they have the whole Burstimo is one of my favorite channels. I'm a super nerd. I will watch those algorithm videos and be like, oh my God. So I'm going to do my stories instead of posting. I'll post on the 4th day. I still probably suck at social media, but that's okay. But
yeah, I've never figured out the algorithm. No matter how hard I've tried, no matter how many videos I watched, I'm just like, screw it. If it's going to hit, it's going to hit, so.
I just like nerding out because of the concept of that. Like, think of even like, I don't know, it was, I guess, a standpoint for me because I was like I was in my like early teenage years, like the mid 2000s to now, like that 15-year difference. Like it was fun. Metalcore was the new thing. Now metalcore is still like it's super relevant. Probably one of the more mainstream genres I would say now. That's a cool thing that brought into light. But there's like I feel like a giant separation in like metal from that time. I mean now it's like. Metalcore is a little more predominant as opposed to like I'm trying to say think of like even like bands like God Forbid, like Lamb of God, that style, like even just like not so much the style of music but the appearance wise.
Right
now everybody's like you're more pristine, they have the nice haircuts and stuff. It's just seeing how much music evolves over that time, but it's still there. Now I joke around because like you listen on Spotify and it's like new metalcore playlist, and it's like this sounds like my hard rock station at my local hard rock station. Like that's the metalcore now. Like, you sure?
Yeah,
Like
and
it's not that it's bad music or I'm knocking it in any sense. It's just like that's not really what jumps right to my brain. But like,
right.
okay,
Yeah, there's so many
whatever.
subgenres out there now and so many categories. That's
That
it's crazy.
that's same. That's what Traverse. It's just like we're metal. We're a metal band, dude. Well, paint that image in your mind. We sacrifice goats on stage. You know, I mean, like burn, like yeah, whatever your imagery. Yeah, we're a metal band.
If you need a child, you know, we'll take the child too. So see, I tried that and like after like 3 seconds, I like cough so hard I'm almost puking.
And it's so, dude, it came so natural. My parents got divorced at 12 and then bang.
Man, I had the emotional damage thing on here, but I took it off. Damn, that would have been a perfect one. Emotional damage.
But I strive to be some sort of entertainer all around in my life. I enjoy making people laugh. So like comedy and acting is like something I really want to jump down the rabbit hole in as well. But I say that to people all the time. But like I say stupid shit to people. Like I'm being so calm and timid with stuff right now too. But they'll be like all the time. They're like, dude, where did you learn to scream like that? And I was like, you know, my parents divorced when I was a little kid, and just the trauma of that settled it. And they're like, you don't say. Or like, I love, like, we played this one show. It was in a state college, Pennsylvania. And I'm walking around. I have the wireless mic. I'm doing my thing and every stuff. And this little old lady after her set comes over and she's like, and she just starts feeling my throat. And she's like, sweetheart, don't you have laryngitis? Oh my God. So,
it's crazy to see
will
everything coming
boast-
full circle.
I will boast that the band, when we are together, there's some cosmic aura that goes on. We see the weirdest shit all the time, and it's just like, and that's a whole nother podcast list of stuff. Like we played a show in Jersey. We walk outside. I saw a kid get hit by a car on a skateboard. Like it just. Always, we were driving from Connecticut to Reading. We saw a car on fire on the fucking driving next to us, and we're like, "Your vehicle's on fire!" And they're like, "What do you mean?" It's like, "What the fuck do you not know what it means? Your fucking car's on fire! Like the back end is the oh shit!" And they're pulling over. It's like, what do you like? So,
and on this segment of the Sloppy Syndicate show, we are listening to Traverse the Abyss and their horror stories as they have traveled the country. So,
we definitely have. It's always it's funny because like our song Frankenshuffle that came out because we used to travel around in a short bus, a literal short school bus. That's what we traveled around. Me and our guitar player, we ripped all the seats out, and then he built benches and he set it all up. So it was like the little lounge area and the slim area that we Tetrised all the gear up. So like we're traveling in there. Every time we would go places in our music video, Blink, in the beginning, you see the bus and you see everybody. We would take people in whenever we went and sign the bus, like put your name, the date, and where we are. So that way, when we're driving home and stuff, we're like just falling asleep for the night. We could be like, "Who the fuck is that?" Gooch. Where was Gooch? That was the really drunk, smelly guy in Philadelphia. That's right. Yeah, because if they didn't put the name and date, you know they were kicking them back. So it's
right.
And Frankenshuffle, our song, that the name came about because on the school bus we had a short hanging shelf that we put like hand sanitizer and your contact solution and all that shit. And this girl really wanted to come on the bus, and we're like, sure. It was the ass end of we're playing this festival. It was like the end of the day. We're like, yeah, dude, yeah, come on, sign the bus, and she's hanging out. I'm like, we're ready, we're checked out. We're like, all right, it's time to go home. And she's like, all right, and we're like, hey, we're gonna head out. And she's like, all right, and she leans back, and my girl goes, hey, watch your head. And she sits up and she goes, boom. She like charges like a bull. The board pops and she goes back. She sits down and I'm like, holy shit. We saw grown men smash their face off that, and that was nothing in comparison. And of course, I'm in the stairwell, so I'm like, yeah, I'm creeping down. I'm like, I gotta see if she's all right.
You got a concussion, ma'am?
Yeah, I don't. We're gonna get sued. Jeez.
Right. This did not happen on the bus.
I'm like, oh, is she all right? And she's walking down the steps going, and I'm like, so for probably the next week or two, at work, it just kept replaying in my head because like it was like out of a movie. Like, hey, watch your like. So even the supervisor came over. He's like, "Yo, are you okay?" Because I was just hunched over laughing. I'm like, dude, all right, I'll tell you the quick one, and then they give you the look.
Right. Like, and then you wait like 3 weeks to see if you get a letter in the mail. Like, yes, we're going to need, X amount of dollars for the concussion cost, medical bills.
You do have a crack in your skull. Oh.
What's up, Matthew? Thanks for joining us. Ellie, thanks for joining us. So awesome to have you. We are 41 minutes in, so we're going to wrap it up here pretty quickly. But it's been a pleasure having Traverse the Abyss on the show. They're based out of Scranton, PA. And so tell us, not tell us, but tell the folks out there listening, what kind of pushed you to pursue music in the first place?
My family's always been around music. So like growing up, my mom always had Rolling Stones and Queen, Guns N' Roses. My uncle, diehard Metallica fan, so I was like, that was always present. And I was like walk around listening to the music, and I just like like I said, I always wanted to entertain. I like making people laugh. I like doing like impressions and stories, and I always wanted to just entertain. So I always had vision of like crowd with me on stage. So I was like seeded early in the brain, and fell in love, started really falling in love with music. Going towards my teen years, like most of us. Green Day was one of the first bands I was obsessed with, and that was like 10-year-old, 11-year-old Eric. And then shortly after that, I found him, and that's when I became little gothy boy. And then My Chemical Romance was like right before him. So yeah, the super emo-y, scene-y, gothy boy Eric. And then Slipknot. Slipknot was that's when it was like, boom, whoa, what is this? Because it was thank you to WWE for a lot of my music taste too, because Raw vs. SmackDown video games as a kid, the very first one had a couple Breaking Benjamin songs, and I was like, okay, that's another one of my all-time favorite bands, and they're from Scranton, Wilkes-Barre area. It's fun. Like, so many of the big bands from this area are in my like top 5 favorites. You know what I mean? Breaking Benjamin, Motionless in White. So it's like, it was funny though hearing like that on those games. And then one of their pay-per-views is John Cena, when they were first giving him his like big push, and he was like the unbeatable dude. And then they had the Money in the Bank thing, and Edge cashed it in. And I always liked Edge because he was like mid-rank guy, and they did the stuff with the Hardy Boys. So it was like time they were pushing him, and I was like, oh, this is the shit. And then they played a Disturbed song that was like the theme song. So I was like, Ma, can I get this CD? So she went to Walmart. It was a 10,000 Fist album. The song was Stricken. There we go. Everyone knocks on Disturbed. They don't like Disturbed. Disturbed jumped me into the rabbit hole. That led to System of a Down. And then I found my friend Patrick is outside, who showed me the Heretic Anthem and Wait and Bleed. And those are the first 2 Slipknot songs I heard. And that's that fucking started it all. That's nice. And what made me really want to like perform live music and start like really giving into guitar was Mayhem Fest 2008, which was headlined by Disturbed and Slipknot. That was my first metal concert. Like, I wanted to go to Ozfest, which I kind of like hate myself that I didn't, because all my friends didn't get clearance to go. And I was like, my dad's like, you still want to go? And I was like, no, because I was 12 and
I don't want to go by myself, you know?
Yep. And now I'm like, oh, I missed Avenged Sevenfold play in the City of Evil album cycle. That's like one of my all-time. Again, that's right in that same System of Down, Disturbed, Slipknot. That they're another. Ooh, they got me really started into it. And then Mayhem Fest 08, because that's when I got into deathcore, like Suicide Silence. We're one of the opening bands, and I was like, you could get heavier than Slipknot. Like, there's a meme that goes around on the internet, but it was literally that. It was like, ooh. Another one, people knock me all the time, but Five Finger Death Punch, their first album, The Way of the Fist, is Chef's Kiss. Zoltan's riffs are top tier, and what really I want to say pushed them is they played After Suicide Silence. Like how our setup was, there was one here, and then the other stage was on the other side, and over here is the Metal Militia dirt bike show. So they're doing like the 360s on the dirt bikes and stuff. And Death Punch was playing White Knuckles. So I was drinking a can of Rockstar Fruit Punch, watching them play White Knuckles and they sounded verbatim how their album sounded. And I was like, damn, like, you see some of the bands and you could tell it's like they have the stage sound and everything, but that was one thing that got me. I was like, so it's just that whole concert all around was just like the greatest thing to just turning 14-year-old Eric. So getting to see Slipknot for the first time and everything, that was like, I wanna do this. Black Tide, I'll give them I don't think they're a band anymore, but they were my age at the time and they were playing the festival. And that's another like fire sparked. I was like, yo, you don't have to be older to be doing this, even though.
Yeah, it's crazy how music changes our life. So I miss Warped Tour, Taste of Chaos, all those Fort Rock, all those festivals back in the day that were super cool. I wish they'd come back. But
is there anything like me tongue tied? If they're anything like me, it's festivals like that pioneered the next wave of musicians, the passionate musicians.
Yeah, it's and what's crazy is like the emo scene is coming back full circle now. Ooh. So like My Chem, they just released a new single, and
it's history repeats itself. And as much as we don't want to accept it, that was like 15 years ago. That was almost 20 years ago. So that's classic rock to the kids that are teenagers now. You know what I mean? That's old shit. So like,
yeah, if we would have all kept our stuff when we were kids, hats and shirts, and I mean, some of those things are going for $100, $200 a t-shirt now. But we didn't think it'd ever be cool again, like the Jinkos. We all threw our Jinkos away, but now they're $300 a pair. So,
Champion. I was the poor kid. I was not, because I had Champion stuff. Now that's the fucking trending thing. People are paying $40 a sweatshirt. I'm like, I went to my grandmother's house. I have a closet full of this shit. What are you talking about? I got the best drip out there now. I got the, you know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, I'm like Macklemore. I spent $20. Like,
right.
Talking about?
And then Starter. I remember Starter was like a cheap brand kind of back then, and now
it's a weird.
People are paying like $300 for like certain starter jackets with like sports teams on it now. It's crazy. So
I'm just waiting for that like mid 2000 metalcore sound to kind of come back a little bit more, because then maybe my band has a better chance.
Well, I mean, you guys are killing it already. You made the Elite 8 on Battle of the Bands, or Battle for the Big Stage.
We'll come through again.
Are you guys going to continue submitting for that? I know new bracket starts this month, so in the next couple days. So
fuck yeah, I'm gonna be like a pimple on their ass. I told Bobby that the day I met him. I said, yo, I'm gonna be like a pimple. You're gonna remember me. I'm gonna make sure of that, because I
want to play one of these festivals, whether you like it or not.
Well, yeah, like I mean, we put in for the Blue Ridge thing, and like we had, out of like all the bands, we had like 300, 400 some votes and stuff like on my comment for the Blue Ridge, and then we got the email that we didn't get the slide on that, and I was just like, it's the only thing we haven't got to really do yet is like a tour, like getting on a leg or an actual full run with a band, and that's just because we just haven't found the right agent or the right band yet. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's gonna end up happening. We just gotta really search for it. Look and you shall seek, and you shall find. You know, and
it's coming. Just keep rocking, keep doing what you're doing. So,
and one of the festivals, like we do a bunch of the big shows, but we never got to do one of the festivals, and it was just like.
And the festivals are wild. The festivals are just super crazy. So,
well, if you see the recaps from our past shows, like they're not our audience that we start with. By the end of our set, though, they know who we are. I run the game right in the start. I'm like, yo, raise your hand. Who knows who we are? And you get the couple people. They raise their hand. I'm like, cool. I'm gonna spit our name to you a bunch of times. I'm gonna be super annoying, but you're gonna remember it. And I got that from rapper Snow the Product. I saw her playing with Cottonmouth Kings, and she's like, she had a 20-minute set, and she's like, she kept saying her name over and over, and she's like, listen, I don't even care if you think I'm annoying with it right now. She's like, this is the only 20 minutes I have that I have your attention and for me to do my shit. And the more I say it, the more it's gonna stick in your head. And that was like probably going towards 10 years ago that concert was, and I was just like, that is the truest shit. That's the only chance that you have, or that you have the stage, you have their attention, you need to make your name known. And it works. I'm not be like nonstop, but like find fun ways to work it in. Like I like doing the guessing game. Like, oh, midway through the set, I'll be like, oh, I smoke a lot of weed, man. I'm gonna be honest. I have a little bit of a short-term memory. What is our band name? And that mid-set, you can kind of see where they're at. So work it a little bit, and like if spice them up a bit, I'll say like, hey, I'm going to put you on our social medias, our SoCal medias, our Southern California medias. So this next one, get all nice and close up to the stage because we're going to take a video. And by the way, what's our band name? Oh, yeah, that's it. All right. This next one, I'm going to make gurgling toilet sounds.
So awesome. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, man. I know you're busy. Like you said, you got Memorial Day party going on. You took the time to hang out on the Sloppy Syndicate show. So what final, actually, so where can we find Traverse the Abyss? Where can we support you? Do you have merch? How can we, you got shirts, CDs, vinyls? What do you have that we can purchase?
I got you. Give me 2 seconds.
We're going to put a little,
So we're on everywhere. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, OnlyFans. Check for the tattoos. That's who you know who it is. I dropped that line at the Blackcraft thing, and they're like, I was like,
you can't say that. Usually it's Bobby. You can't say that.
I'm fighting with e-commerce. We were on Bandzoogle, which is a great site. I'm not going to knock it, but we're switching over to Shopify. But the link for us is traversetheabyss.com. I work at a t-shirt shop, so we just have a brand new order coming in. I take all the shirts, and I personally do the dyes, any of the distortions. These are all hand done by me. They're making the screen. We put the ink on the dryer. The whole shebang is. We don't, I mean, like. I'm actually make the whole works. We have 2 albums out. We have the physical copies. Actually, I have them all right here. So that's the fun part. I kind of have most of my house as our merch store. So wifey loves that. You know what I mean? But yes, we have our first debut album, The Gamble of Life. And we have our self-titled EP. We have singles out just about everywhere. Like I said, Bandcamp. Reverb Nation, like literally, if it comes up and it's not the video games Dark Souls or Destiny, it's probably us. And funny enough, when the band was formed, I didn't play either of those games yet. And Smiling in the Suffering is out Friday, June 17th. The release party is at the V Spot in Scranton. If you cannot make it, I am streaming it on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Eric_Abyss. It's almost like I have to say that several times to plug in my own, right?
Right. Eric_Abyss at twitch.tv. So when the new album drops, I'm going to pick that up. I'm going to need you to sign the new album for me. So when you make it big, I can have it on my wall and be like, hey, he was on the show at one point. So
hopefully.
But I appreciate you coming on. Any final departing words for the fans out there?
Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring, and thank you for giving a fuck, because you guys make this happen. You, like a lyric I have in our song Family, you are the blood in our veins. You push every entertainer, not just musicians, not just us. You guys push everyone towards their dreams. Support your friends. They are not your enemies. Support your friends.
Build each other up.
And to anybody, I'll plug Bobby with his create your own future. Shoot your fucking shot. Because the worst that's gonna happen is it's gonna say no. And
You can say you tried.
If it's in your head, there's a reason. You know what I mean? If there's something, it manifests onto that. Positivity.
Fail is the first attempt in learning, I always say. So if you don't fail, you're not doing something right. So we all fail at some point in our life. Folks, I hope we were able to pleasure your ear holes, make your ear holes just a little bit moist today, maybe an eargasm or two in there. And folks, remember, it's okay not to be okay. Reach out to somebody if you are in a bad spot. Suicide hotline is 1-800-273-8255, or you can text GO to 741-741. Go ahead and reach out to that if you need any assistance. We would love to keep you around and reach out to somebody, and we will definitely talk to you for sure. So it's been a pleasure having you on the Sloppy Syndicate show. Pleasure having you folks listening live with us now and in the future. And remember, keep it sloppy, and we'll see you next time.